cut across to Harsh Malhotra, who's one from the national capital. He will be the one assisting Nitin Gadkari on the phone line with us. Many congratulations, Mr. Malhotra. MOS, Transport and Highways, sir. Are you happy with your ministry? Looking forward to work with Mr. Gadkari?
Yeah, I am blessed that I am working under Adharniya Nitin Gadkari ji.
Harsh Malhotra ji, can you tell us when were you told and how were you told, sir?
Just a few minutes ago.
So,
by the media only.
Oh, you've actually found out from the media. We've told you that what your ministry is, sir.
I told you that I learned from media only.
But in the cabinet meet today, were anyone told what they were going to get?
Ministers.
Mr. Malhotra, in the cabinet meet today, were any of the leaders who were there told what cabinet portfolio they would be getting?
I was not there, madam.
No, would you know? So
that
you've
was
been
the meeting of cabinet, not the council of ministers. So
yes,
I was
sir,
not supposed to be there.
No, I'm not saying you were there, sir, but I'm saying were they told, or you're saying you have found out from the media itself?
I found it out just right now.
Have you got an official call yet?
I have not heard from any call else.
So no official call yet, sir. You're actually trusting us.
Pardon?
So no official call yet. You're saying you're actually trusting us with the news.
Maybe possible that some call have come and I could not attend. But right now I got news from you people only.
Well, congratulations then, Mr. Harsh Malhotra. Nitin Gadkari had already had the ministry and he's really, held up his side of the bargain of doing a fantastic job where transport is concerned, infrastructure is concerned. How are you looking to contribute?
Definitely, I am very happy and blessed that I'll be working under the senior leadership like Adharniya Nitin Gadkari ji. So, definitely I'll work under his guidance.
All right, you'll work under his guidance. Appreciate you joining us, Mr. Harsh Malhotra. That's so interesting in all of this, viewers, because Harsh Malhotra there, he is MOS Road Transport, and he actually learned that he is going to be assisting Nitin Gadkari, who has retained road transport ministry through the media. Still waiting for the official call to come in. Well, Harsh Malhotra has won from the national capital, one of the 7 seats where East is concerned, Delhi. On the other hand, it's Ajay Tamta as well, who is going to be the MOS Road Transport and Highways. And Nitin Gadkari retains his ministry, something that he's been lauded on of the fantastic infrastructural work that he has put in over the last 5 years. But now he has to MOS with him. Aishwarya is with us. Aishwarya, it's interesting because till now, there has been no official word or any phone call that has been officially made. We had Harsh Malhotra right now, and he's saying, I'm finding out from you.
Well, Preeti, this is the typical modus operandi of how the Bharatiya Janata Party functions, and particularly how the top leadership of the BJP functions. They will not even let you know. And see, Preeti, it's not as if, we have not been speaking with leaders. In fact, Rahul Kawal also a couple of minutes back was speaking about the fact that he was there at the Rashtrapati Bhavan. He spoke with a couple of leaders, but all of them, were a little iffy. They did not know what to say. They all just spoke about the fact that the one direction that we have been given by Prime Minister Narendra Modi is that we all need to march forward together for Modi Sarkar 3.0. And, it's been almost more than 25 hours, and we don't see any kind of speculation taking place. We don't see any kind of leak taking place. So this actually is giving us a glimpse of how tightly controlled the situation at the moment is. Apart from Nitin, we have not seen, any other name coming to the fore. But yes, a little bit of understanding of, how the government will function. But yes, a very, tightly guarded secret at the moment. Preeti.
All right, but word is coming in that it seems continuity is going to be favored where Modi's Cabinet 3.0 is concerned. But let's get you some of the inside details coming in. The Cabinet did meet under the Prime Minister today, and the Prime Minister said most of you will continue doing your work. That would mean that the Prime Minister has chosen continuity, which he has spoken of, told the Cabinet, आप में से ज़्यादातर लोग अपना काम करते रहेंगे, and the indication does seem to suggest with the likes of Nitin Gadkari continuing with the Ministry of Transport and of course attaching to him to MOS as well. Interesting to note, we're waiting in for the other top ministries in terms of, defense. Is it Rajnath Singh who's going to continue? Word comes in right now, viewers, that it is continuity that is going to be favored than any big change. Some were speculating that there might be, a change or a swapping of ministries between the top four, but that also seems to be not right now where it's concerned. It seems that continuity favored. Siddharth Zarabi, who's joining us. Siddharth, what's your bet? Finance Minister, is Nirmala Sitharaman going to hold on? Continuity.
Well, one thing we should be absolutely sure, never take bets in Modi Sarkar. But what's really quite clear at this stage, basis a couple of sources, including some documentary sources, that the highways and roads portfolio is going back to Nitin Gadkari ji, and 2 ministers of state also being added on. What this would imply, Preeti, and this is quite significant because there have been all sorts of rumors and expectations that continuity with a little bit of change. This is what we have been picking up. We've also been told by sources in the government that the message delivered at this first meeting of the cabinet was that work being done will continue by the people who are there in the cabinet, because remember, there are new inclusions, but a bulk of the cabinet is extending from Modi 2.0. So that's the message that was also delivered at the cabinet meeting, and therefore quite significant expectations that there will be largely continuity. But what we can tell our viewers, and that's been breaking on the network since quite some time now, is that roads, transport, highways, the builder of modern Indian highways, Nitin Gadkari, getting to continue to perform that task, and a very substantial task really, Preeti.
Well, you're right, there is a substantial task at hand, but it's something that he's been lauded for the fantastic infrastructure development across the country. It's something that he needs to take forward because Siddharth, there are many projects that still lie incomplete, but he's delivered on being the minister that he was.
Well, absolutely, and what we are also getting at this stage is that there is no briefing that is expected now of the Union Cabinet. Remember, day one saw the formality of the next installment being done, and that decision by Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the PM Awas Yojana, massive expansion.
Right.
We are also being told at this stage that as far as some other details that we are getting, housing and urban affairs, Preeti, from these are you'll have to that the details that we are getting of possibly Manohar Lal Khattar, the former chief minister.
So there's a change there.
Manohar Lal Khattar, former chief minister, housing and urban affairs, with Tokhan Sahu from Jharkhand as the minister of state, and there is another for power, Manohar Lal Khattar, with Shripad Yeso Nayak from Goa, the Minister of State. So, Preeti, details coming in.
Come again, Siddharth, come again. Where the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, which was earlier held by Mr. Hardeep Singh Puri, does that now shift to ML Khattar? Because we are breaking ML Khattar gets power ministry. Okay.
2 ministries, in fact. If we were to go by that, Preeti, then 2 ministries. And even as we get you more details on that, it's very clear that as far as Mr. Gadkari coming back to his old portfolio, it's clear that some of the massive showpiece projects of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the ones that he himself is very keen on, for example, Bharatmala, and remember, Preeti, the new policy architecture for electric vehicles, including, for example, the entry of Tesla. You remember that prior to that there were several expectations that Tesla will make a big investment in India, but it's clear at this stage that some more sources, and my colleague Chetan Bhutani from Business Today Television telling us that his sources are telling him that Rajnath Singh remains as the Minister of Defence, is likely to retain the Ministry of defense. So at this stage, pending confirmation, pending finality, I must tell our viewers through you, Preeti, that for the former Chief Minister of Haryana, two very significant portfolios being spoken about, housing and urban affairs as well as power. Remember, R.K. Singh was the Minister of Power.
Yes.
And he's not there. And we also have two MOSs, including that inclusion from Jharkhand, from the Sahu community, Tokan Sahu from the state of Jharkhand. Preeti.
All right, very, very interesting. Till now, what we can tell our viewers is Nitin Gadkari retains the transport ministry, viewers. On the other hand, news just breaking on India Today. My colleague Siddharth Zarabi telling us that the former Chief Minister of Haryana, ML Khattar, has been given charge of not one but two ministries there. He is going to hold the Power Ministry as well as the Urban Development and Housing Ministry. The Urban Development Housing Ministry earlier was held by Mr. Hardeep Singh Puri, and ML Khattar takes on from there. ML Khattar also been given the charge right now of the Power Ministry as well. Of course, there are MOS attached to him. Back to Siddharth Zarabi for more. Siddharth, more names coming in. All right, let's cut across to Rahul Kamal. Rahul, our news director, joining us with the latest. Over to you, Rahul.
You know, we are just hearing that Shivraj Singh Chauhan, the former heavyweight chief minister from Madhya Pradesh, is going to get the agriculture ministry portfolio. Jiten Ram Majhi, the former Bihar chief minister, head of the Hindustani Awam Morcha, is getting micro, small and medium enterprises. Shobha Karandlaje, who comes from Karnataka, is going to be the Minister of State for Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises. We're also being told that Rajnath Singh will retain defense. The Prime Minister apparently telling his union cabinet that most of you will continue to do what you've been doing in the past. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman likely to retain finance. You know, the interesting thing though for our viewers really to look at is that in past cabinet reshuffles or when cabinets were being sworn in, the information would come as one-way traffic. It would get put out as one consolidated list. Now, with all these images that are coming out, so a lot of the ministers, their teams putting out information portfolio by portfolio. So it's not as if it's all come out in one go. Manohar Lal Khattar has two portfolios, housing and urban affairs, and he's got power, where he's got Shripad Yasho Nayak from North Goa, the MP, as his Minister of State. So it's not coming out in one batch, it's all coming in dribs. What we know is that Jiten Ram Majhi is the Minister for Micro, Small, Medium Enterprises, something which is of particular interest to the state of Bihar. So that's the information that we're getting at this moment, Preeti, and it's coming not in one burst as one would imagine. So the fact that this is a coalition government also showing up in the manner in which these names have come out. Very, very different, frankly, from what we've seen in the past 10 years.
Well, you're right there, but Rahul, largely it does seem continuity has been favoured. If you look at the names, at least the top four, seemingly till now, we don't know who holds the Home Minister portfolio. But at least, with what we are getting in, it does seem continuity chosen over any massive changes.
But Preeti, when you'd asked me this question yesterday and we were at Rashtrapati Bhavan, I said exactly the same thing. The Prime Minister, from the time he was Chief Minister, prefers continuity, and that's just generally been his operating DNA, so he's unlikely to want to change that. I've also just heard that Shivraj Singh Chauhan, apart from getting agriculture and farmer welfare, he's got Panchayat and Rural Development. So he's got Panchayat and Rural Development. So he's got two ministries, agriculture, and it's been, what's been added to agriculture is farmer welfare, Kisan Kalyan. And he's got Panchayat and Gramin Vikas, so that's Panchayati affairs and rural development. So that's a heavyweight portfolio that's been given to Shivraj Singh Chauhan, Preeti.
Well, you're right. There are two plum portfolios. And interesting, Rahul, interesting choice. You have an ML Khattar who replaces Hardeep Singh Puri where urban development is concerned, but he's also given the charge of power. And you have the former Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh, Shivraj Singh Chauhan, who's been given two portfolios, both awarded.
Oh, absolutely. So the former Haryana Chief Minister getting two important portfolios, the former Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh getting two portfolios. So that's the breakup that we have. But again, what I find more fascinating than just what portfolios are being given to whom is that the operating style, the style of communication of this information, very different this time, Preeti, from what we've been used to seeing in the past. And I think that really is the biggest message from all the names that we've seen so far, Preeti.
Would you reckon is that the hallmark of coalition politics, Rahul? Because the last two times we heard, or even during the reshuffle, it was very different.
You know, it's not just coalition politics. Most of these are BJP ministers. See, who has that image? It's the minister and his ecosystem that has the image. So the minister sent the photo to his ecosystem. The ecosystem's really happy and there's nothing wrong in it. They're putting it out and they're sharing that information, which is the way it used to be before Prime Minister Modi came into power. And it seems to be coming back to that, Preeti.
Well, you know, as journalists, we should only be very happy because then we have more sources we can cultivate instead of one linear source. Siddharth Zarabi has more information. Go ahead, Siddharth.
Well, one of the more significant points to note, even as we get more names, Shivraj Singh Chauhan. So, Preeti, what's happening is agriculture, Panchayat, Gramin Vikas to be brought together. So, very clearly a rationalization that many experts have also spoken about. Some more details what we are getting to pick up from sources is Shram or Khel Mantri ki bhumika mein honge Mansukh Mandaviya. I am reading that line straight off.
Sports Minister Mansukh Mandaviya.
Mansukh Mandaviya and Labour also has a portfolio being mentioned against his name.
So he leaves health and now he comes in as a sports minister. Interesting switch there.
Ram Mohan Naidu, civil aviation.
Ram Mohan Naidu now replaces
aviation.
Jyotiraditya Scindia on civil aviation.
Civil aviation, and this again going to a crucial ally, obviously, Preeti.
Exactly.
But the big takeaway at this stage, apart from the names, is really bringing together those ministries with Shivraj Singh Chauhan, who has extensive track record of Madhya Pradesh and making it the grain bowl, especially the wheat bowl of India. And from that choice purely, I think the agriculture sector, now with a person who has deep hands-on multi-decade experience, and by clubbing in other ministries, what you will see that a very significant portion of our budgetary allocation that happens from the union budget is going to be more targeted, Preeti.
Well, it's interesting because, Rahul, I'll bring you in. Earlier, where agriculture was concerned, there was Mr. Tomar from the very state. When he was replaced, it was Mr. Mundai, and now it is Shivraj Singh Chauhan. But, Rahul, I'd like to draw your attention to the new civil aviation minister, gone to an ally, and a 36-year-old Ram Mohan Naidu from the TDP takes over the reins as civil aviation minister.
You know, I met him yesterday at Rashtrapati Bhavan. We exchanged pleasantries. He says, I'm the youngest minister in this unionist cabinet, Rahul Saab, and you see I'll have a very important role to play. So these guys are young, they're charged up, well-spoken, educated. I think the country will get to see a lot of them, and they've been waiting in the wings for this opportunity. You know, somebody who met Chandrababu Naidu 10 days ago and then met him again after the verdict said, boss, how life can change in just a matter of 10 days. 10 days ago when I met him, this gentleman was saying Chandrababu Naidu was a little unsure. He was hoping to win, but he couldn't be certain. And now when he met him, you know, his chest was puffed up. And, you know, yesterday at Rashtrapati Bhavan, the likes of Lakshmi Mittal, the likes of all the big businessmen who were there were all making a beeline from him. He wanted to go meet everyone. So body language changes. And a lot can change just in a matter of 10 days. What we're also hearing from our audience is, from our reporters, is that Chirag Paswan potentially gets the Ministry for Sports. So he gets the Ministry of Sports. And
There seems to be a
clash.
Seems to be a discrepancy.
Correct.
Because Siddharth has said it's Mansukh Mandaviya who's been given sports.
I think fair disclosure at this stage, some of the names and portfolios that you have heard, viewers, are coming from photographs of a document that has names and pictures.
You know, Rahul, this is fabulous. We are back to old school journalism where because these leaks are coming in from all over the place. It's not how it used to happen. Whatever way it is, we welcome it.
And we can say, Preeti, for establishing that with our viewers who will hold our feet to the fire, otherwise, is that there are photographs There are names of those portfolios, and what we understand from many of the reporters from the network, including Business Today, who are on the job, is that these are documents that have come out after the meeting of the cabinet.
All right, so we're going to hold the news on who's going to be the sports minister.
Yeah.
Is it Chirag Paswan or is it Mansukh Mandavia? We're going to hold that. But Rahul, I want to bring you in. Dharmendra Pradhan, Rahul, holds on to HRD ministry. That means he's not going to be the chief minister of Odisha.
And I've just heard from sources in the Janata Dal Secular that Kumaraswamy's got major industries in steel, heavy industries in steel. That's what the JDS is telling us. Now, this is frankly, it's not about who gets what, Preeti. The story really is the manner in which this information is coming out. We're being told from the JDS. Okay, I've just also got information that Sarobinda Sonowal, the former Assam chief minister, he's got ports, shipping and waterways. And Shantanu Thakur, who's the Matua leader from West Bengal, important cast in the BJP's calculations in West Bengal. He's the Minister of State for Ports, Shipping and Waterways. If this is the way this government's going to function and information will come out, it will be very different from what we've seen and really makes things very exciting. It also means that there could be the odd error, but essentially, Preeti, information coming from different sources, and that just makes it a lot of fun.
Well, you're right there. You know, Rahul mentioned Sarbananda Sonowal as well as MOS Shantanu Thakur. So they both retain. Because Sarbananda Sonowal already is the Minister of Ports and Shipping and Waterways, and his MOS is already Shantanu Thakur. So both of them are the ones who are retaining. Yes, Rahul, go ahead.
I just received information from one of the ministers in the cabinet saying that Mansukh Mandavia is the one who's got sports. They're watching our coverage live, and thank you, sir, for that. Really appreciate this. They're saying Mansukh Mandavia, who comes from Gujarat, is seen as one of the blue-eyed boys of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He's being groomed personally by the Prime Minister for a very long time. He is the one who will have sports. That's the information that we've just received. We're also being told that Dharmendra Pradhan, who was for a long time seen as a potential front-runner to be Chief Minister of Orissa, he's got education. It's a ministry he's dealt with in the past, and he'll be back in that ministry. Ram Mohan Naidu gets civil aviation, and Annapurna Devi gets women and child development. And it baffles me as I take our viewers through this list that all the information is coming more from the ministers and from the central source, whether it's the cabinet secretary or the Prime Minister's office. We still haven't heard in terms of what they're getting. We're also being told that Ravneet... Yeah, go on.
Right. No, go ahead. Annapurna Devi comes from Jharkhand, so interesting choice. I have an interest in WCD, but go ahead, Rahul.
Yeah, I was just saying that Mansukh Bhai Mandavia, Chirag Paswan would have liked to get sports. He's young, he kind of thinks he's very careful. The only one minister I saw during the campaign was being careful about what he was eating. We've also just received information that Ravneet Bittu, who lost in Ludhiana, he's got Minister of State for Minority Affairs. So the grandson of Beyan Singh was assassinated, imported into the BJP. He's been given the Minister of State for Minority Affairs.
But that's an interesting choice. But Siddharth Zarabi has the finance minister's name.
So we now have from multiple sources, including Karishma Asudani, who covers finance ministry for us, that she's being told that the top four are the same, and that also includes Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman.
That also includes the Minister of External Affairs.
I'm only taking names of what we can go out.
The top four are the same.
The top four are the same, with the particular name of Nirmala Sitharaman as the finance minister, basis what our reporter colleagues are telling us.
Rahul, it seems the top four are the same. So if we are looking at that, then we are looking at Amit Shah retaining home. We are looking at Rajnath Singh retaining defense. We are looking at Nirmala Sitharaman retaining finance. And we are looking at Mr. Jai Shankar retaining MEA.
I have just received information, and we are breaking it at this moment, that Kiran Rijiju, the minister from Arunachal Pradesh, has got parliamentary affairs and minority affairs. Now that is interesting because parliamentary affairs is a very significant, very important portfolio, and that's now gone to Kiran Rijiju. Kiran Rijiju, who used to be law minister, suffered a bit of a blow. This signals a rehabilitation of sorts, because at a time when you need to take the opposition parties along, you need to have a joint consensus in terms of how the parliamentary agenda will flow. We've just heard that Kiran Rijiju has been upgraded and promoted to the Parliamentary Affairs Ministry.
he replaces Prahlad Joshi as Parliament Minister. But breaking news, Siddharth?
My colleague Chetan Bhutani is now reporting that Hardeep Singh Puri is likely to retain the Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas. We have also another input of C.R. Patil as Jal Shakti. We also have more details.
C.R. Patil replaces
Jal Shakti was
Gajendra
Singh Shekhawat, whose name is now being mentioned, by the way, for culture and tourism.
So that's a demotion. Would you say?
Well, not really.
From
I think
Jal
tourism,
Shakti, because Jal Shakti is a pet project of the Prime Minister.
No, I think tourism from a point of view of what it means for India in the next 5 years is going to be a big one. There are some details of 2 MOSs, including the name of Suresh Gopi, who I hope stays in the Council of Ministers.
As what?
And Rao Indrajit Singh, both as Ministers of State for the very same culture and tourism beat.
Rao Indrajit Singh, who is basically a Yadav face, Ahirwal face for the Bharatiya Janata Party in Haryana, comes in as MOS Tourism. Suresh Gopi comes in as MOS Tourism. And you have Gajendra Shekhawat from Jodhpur, Rajasthan, who comes in as the Cabinet Ministry, where tourism
No photographic evidence, Preeti, but Jagat Prakash Nadda, soon to be the outgoing president, unless a different decision is taken, may go back to his old haunt of health.
All right, okay. So Rahul, Mr. Nadda might get health. His tenure as party president is over by the end of month. But Siddharth says in all probability, his source is telling him.
Ashwini Vaishnav now being mentioned. Again, this is sources.
Right.
Viewers, there's a difference. We are putting this information in 2 baskets. One with photographs, one without. One without photographs. Ashwini Vaishnav for Railways.
Retains Railways.
And Ministry of Information Broadcasting.
So Ashwini Vaishnav, which is important to us as well. Ministry of Broadcasting is Ashwini MIB Minister. Ashwini Vaishnav. Rahul, go over to you.
So we've just heard that Prahlad Joshi is likely to be the Minister for Food, Consumer Affairs and Renewable Energy. And again, it's Janata Dal secular sources who are telling us the portfolio that Kumaraswamy is getting. This, in the way that Prime Minister Modi has run the government, is really the story of the day. One story is that they're signaling continuity, that by and large, those who had whatever ministry they did, they're continuing with that. And the other big change is that information is coming from wherever the minister is letting the information go out. It's no longer one-way traffic, and that really is one of the big stories. As somebody who's tracked this government very closely over the past 10 years, that to me really is the big information that's coming out. Prahlad Joshi now confirmed as the new Minister for Food, Consumer Affairs, New and Renewable Energy.
Well, and as journalists, I would reckon, Siddharth, nothing better than, what's happening right now. At least there's a flow of multiple information.
Well, I hope there are no changes just because there are leaks, but that's a tongue-in-cheek remark.
Finally, there are leaks in this government.
But there's one significant point, again, pending photographic confirmation, viewers. Jyotiraditya Scindia's name being mentioned for telecom, and Preeti, you will recall, we will have to hark back to an era of UPA where he was Minister of State in telecom, and at that stage, I remember he had tried some initiatives.
All right, Rahul, go ahead.
We've just received information that Jyotiraditya Scindia will be the Minister for the Northeast, so the Department of the Northeast and Telecom. That's the ministry that Jyotiraditya Scindia will have. So it's a heavyweight ministry for him. Department of Northeast is something that the Prime Minister has been personally very committed to. So that's something that Jyotiraditya Scindia will get, and he also gets Telecom. That's the information that we're getting with Ashwini Vaishnav likely to retain Railways and potentially coming in as the new INB Minister. Although we haven't, now remember, it's really down to the Minister, his office, to confirm what they're getting, and it's not come from one central source, and that really, frankly, for anybody who's tracked this government, is really the big story that we're seeing. We're also hearing that JP Nadda has been assigned the Health Ministry. Now, remember, he's dealt with the Health Ministry in the past, so it's not something that he's new to. So far from being BJP President, he's now going to go back to being the Health Minister.
The Health Minister, who becomes the BJP President, because if you look at the list, everyone is now in the cabinet. But Siddharth, more to add?
I would really say that let's also take a look at, therefore, the priorities that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is trying to send out through these portfolio allocations. The bulk of the allocations of budgets will remain in line with people who have dealt with these subjects for several years now, and therefore the policy thrust is going to continue to be the same. There are certain changes, but I would say that they are more from the point of view of the fact that there are 6 odd cabinet posts more that have been allocated. There are powerful allies who also have to be taken along, and perhaps some further changes could happen later on. But right now, this is continuity largely with some smattering of change here and there, Preeti.
And one of the changes is, of course, Jyotiraditya Scindia, who goes to Telecom and Northeast Ministry, while you have 36-year-old from the TDP, Ram Mohan Naidu, who comes in as the Civil Aviation Minister, JP Nadda, where health is concerned. He comes back. He had held the health portfolio, and now it's a full circle for him. He's back with the health ministry. His tenure as BJP party president gets over by the end of month. And Rahul, there will be speculations on who takes that space as well.
Oh, absolutely. You know, the two big names that were being spoken about, one was Shivraj Singh Chauhan, the other was Manohar Lal Khattar. Both are now in the union cabinet, and therefore they will have to find somebody else. So that's going to be an interesting choice, who comes in as the new BJP president. But really the focus from the Prime, look at the big messaging that he's sending. Despite the numbers being lesser, he's signaling continuity. That continuity is something which is a thrust. We'll bash on in the way that we were in the last 5 years. That's the central message he's looking to send in the manner in which these portfolios has been allocated. It's not, if you change too many things, it's at some level a reflection that maybe you don't think things were good or they weren't going the way you wanted, and therefore you had to make mass changes. When you largely take the same team, you're signaling to the world, you think that you have a crack team and you want them to go out and do what they're good at.
All right, C.R. Patil, Jal Shakti, replaces Gajendra Shekhawat, who's now been given culture and tourism. Interesting, important to note, Dharmendra Pradhan is now the Minister of Education. That would mean, Rahul, who comes in as Odisha Chief Minister?
You know, so I heard lots of names yesterday when it came to the list of Orissa CM probables. The interesting thing is that Dharmendra Pradhan, who probably would have wanted this job, he isn't getting this job. That seems quite clear because he's now in the ministry. Now, who out of them do you pick? It clearly will have to be one of the. It will clearly have to be one of the MLAs in the BJP in Orissa. They're the ones they'll have to pick. So it's going to be interesting in terms of who actually gets picked. There are a few wild cards. You know, there are these bureaucrats who work very closely with the Prime Minister, who come from the state of Orissa, the likes of Girish Murmu, who are also being mentioned of. But it's more likely going to be one of those who are part of the MLAs at this moment, and they're the ones who are most likely to pick. The names of Suresh Pujari, for example, doing the rounds in Orissa. Manmohan Samal again is the name that's doing the rounds in Orissa. So it'll be interesting to see who gets picked. They've really not gone with the most obvious choice. Like Shivraj Singh Chauhan would have been an obvious choice to be Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh. He was denied that. So similarly, Dharmendra Pradhan would probably have been the obvious choice to be Chief Minister. He was denied that as well. So therefore, it'll be interesting to see who ultimately gets picked.
Well, you know, Siddharth, I want to bring you in. Once again, let's get back to the top four, where at least what our sources are telling us, they're all being retained. A confirmation at least coming in on the Finance Minister. Nirmala Sitharaman will keep finance in all probability. Rajnath Singh in all probability now keeps defense. Home, we haven't spoken about home, but at least what is being indicated, Amit Shah will keep home, and MEA, it will be Mr. Jaishankar.
As far as Mr. Jaishankar is concerned, there were news reports that he's going to be at the G7 meeting along with the Prime Minister. But as far as Commerce and Industry Ministry is concerned, that's also a very large portfolio, especially on account of the fact that India hopes to conclude some major trade deals with various countries, including, for example, the United Kingdom. Mr. Piyush Goyal, who's just won handsomely from Mumbai, is now being said that he will retain the Commerce and Industry portfolio. And you asked about Amit Shah, the big four. We are being told by sources, in fact, more than one source now, that no change in the big four, and therefore it would follow that the Home Ministry and the Ministry of Cooperation, which was a newly carved out portfolio in the previous dispensation, stays with Mr. Shah.
All right, let's dip into reactions coming in. Some of them have only, found out from us, from the media, on what portfolios they are getting. So, MOS Transport, Ajay Tamta, speaking to my colleague there. Listen in.
मेरे लोकसभा क्षेत्र की जनता का, जिन्होंने मुझे सांसद बना के अपने क्षेत्र के लिए काम करने का अवसर दिया था। माननीय प्रधानमंत्री और माननीय भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने मुझे सरकार में काम करने के लिए भी अपना आशीर्वाद दिया है और अभी मुझे जो जिम्मेदारी मिलेगी और चूंकि मुझे लगभग सभी कामों का करने का अनुभव रहा है और मेरी जानकारी में जैसा आया है कि रोड एंड ट्रांसपोर्ट है, तो हम लोग तो बड़े सौभाग्यशाली हैं कि देश में जो ऐतिहासिक परिवर्तन अगर कहीं हुए हैं तो उत्तराखंड के अंदर ही हुए हैं और ऑल वेदर रोड अगर कहीं आती है तो उत्तराखंड के अंदर आई है। भारतमाला भी आई है तो वो उत्तराखंड के अंदर आई है और पूरे देश भर के अंदर चल रही है। तो ये अपने आप में बड़ा सौभाग्यवान है क्योंकि रोड और जो ट्रांसपोर्ट है वो बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट भी है क्योंकि जो मनुष्य की आम जनजीवन की सुविधाओं के रूप में वो यात्रा है।
All right. So Piyush Goyal retains the Commerce Ministry. Piyush Goyal just entering Lok Sabha, nominated from Mumbai North, and now will keep his ministry important, especially for the likes of us. Ashwini Vaishnav, while he retains railways, is now going to be the new I&B minister. The more news coming in right now is also Muralidhar Mohar, in all probability, is going to be the MOS to Mohan Naidu. Where civil aviation is concerned. Interesting choices, small changes, small tweaking here and there. But Rahul, if you have to look at it, the big ticket portfolios, I would reckon the biggest gainers in all of this is somebody like a Shivraj Singh Chauhan and an ML Khattar.
Oh, absolutely. They've been given important portfolios. We've just heard that Minister Piyush Goyal, who's now the MP from North Mumbai, he'll get, he'll get commerce and industry. Remember, there are lots of trade deals which are half negotiated, on the verge or heading towards closure, heading towards the last lap. So he gets the opportunity to go out and build on the assets that he's developed, the relationships that he's built globally, and hopefully try and close some of these deals. I think that really is the message the Prime Minister is also seeking to send. He's not saying, oh my God, what's this verdict? People don't like us, let's change the whole team. He's not looking at it like that. He says, okay, by and large, we've done a great job. We've been voted back with 240 seats. We now need to build on what we've got, which is essentially why, if you see, continuity, and that's the one word I've been emphasizing over the last 48 hours in this entire conversation. Continuity is really what the Prime Minister's thrust area has been.
Well, we've practically heard a lot of the big ticket portfolios. IT is one which is left, Siddharth.
Very, very important point. And so far, no leaks, no information, I must tell our viewers. But why is IT very important? If you recall, once the TDP was in pole position, the first report suggested that TDP wanted IT. The founder of Cyberabad, Mr. Chandrababu Naidu, has a record as being one of the earliest chief ministers to talk about IT as a job creation tool, also for economic development. We don't know what has happened in that regard. There is, of course, one big name, the richest candidate in the Lok Sabha, Preeti, who's also come from that party. So, mighty is big one, and the bigger challenge in that ministry will be, unlike what Mr. Naidu had dealt with IT ministers during his era then, is the fact that we have global social media majors, and for the last 10 years, the Modi government has, frankly, not been able to come up with a cohesive strategy of dealing with them. We've had various drafts of law, and now that Mr. Rajiv Chandrasekhar is not there, I think whoever comes in will have to do a lot of reading because this is now going to be one of the most sensitive ministries. I would call it the most sensitive, frankly, beyond the big 5 or 6, because...
All right, Rahul has some more information, Siddharth. Rahul, over to you.
We've just heard that Bhupender Yadav, who again was one of the names mentioned as a possible future BJP president at some time, he's got environment. Remember, he's, because of the Paris climate change dialogue and various other conversations that have been happening, he's been involved very heavily with climate change. He's got climate again. So he's also built, remember, what's the message here? These are leaders who've built some, who've built some experience and expertise over the years in different fields. They're being given the opportunity to continue what they were doing, which is why Bhupender Yadav has been given Paryavaran, the Ministry of Environment, and he gets to be Environment Minister once again.
Well, he retains the Ministry of Environment. He's one from Alwar, Rajasthan, coming into the Lok Sabha there. But interesting, what you were talking about, Siddharth, that where IT is concerned, Ashwini Vaishnav has been moved. Rajiv Chandrasekhar has been cut. We are waiting.
We've just heard that Nirmala Sitharaman is also Minister for Corporate Affairs. So she's Finance Minister and Minister for Corporate Affairs. So she
I have the
retains
list
both.
in chronological order.
Okay,
Rahul, I'm cutting you off.
Rahul, he has the list in the chronology.
Rajnath Singh, Minister of Defence. Shri Amit Shah, Minister of Home Affairs and Minister of Cooperation.
Slow down.
Shri Nitin Jairam Gadkari, and I'm going by the sequence as has been mentioned here. Minister of Road Transport and Highways. Shri Jagat Prakash Nadda, fourth on the list, a list provided by my colleague Chetan Bhutani, Minister of Health and Family Welfare, and the Minister of Chemicals and Fertilizers. Number 5 on the list, Shivraj Singh Chauhan, Minister of Agriculture, Farmers Welfare and Rural Development. Number 6 on the list, Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman, Minister of Finance and Minister of Corporate Affairs. Number 7, Dr. Subramaniam Jaishankar, Minister of External Affairs. Viewers, I'm now skipping to there are a couple of names missing. Minister of Steel, but I don't have that name here. But number 10 on that list with me right now is Piyush Goyal, Minister of Commerce and Industry, Shri Dharmendra Pradhan, Minister of Education, Shri Jitan Ram Manji, Minister of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises, Shri Rajiv Ranjan Singh Urf Lallan Singh, Minister of Panchayati Raj,
JD.
Minister of Fisheries, Animal Husbandry and Dairying, Shri Sarbanand Sonowal, Minister of Ports, Shipping and Waterways, Dr. Virendra Kumar, Social Justice and Empowerment, Shri Kinjarapu Ram Mohan Naidu, Minister of Civil Aviation, Shri Prahlad Joshi, Minister of Consumer Affairs, Food, Public Distribution. I have more names here.
So Jewel Oram gets Minister for Tribal Affairs. Giriraj Singh gets Minister of Textiles. Ashwani Vaishnav, listed number 20 on that list, gets Minister of Railways, Minister of Information Broadcasting, Minister of Electronics and Information Technology. Then you've got Jyotiraditya Scindia. So he gets Minister of Electronics.
This is very, very important.
Minister of Electronics and Information Technology, Jyotiraditya Scindia, then comes in as Minister of Communications.
Food processing industries. Food processing, because there was that bit of a back and forth. And
so
Mansukh
Hardeep
Mandavia
Puri gets Minister of Petroleum.
Minister Hardeep Puri gets Minister for Petroleum, Employment, Youth Affairs and Sports.
Labour, Employment, Youth Affairs and Sports.
Two ministries. G. Krishan Reddy, Coal and Ministry of Mines. So G. Kishan Reddy, who started off as MOS Home and then was in tourism, now gets coal and mines. Chirag Paswan, food processing. C.R. Patil, Minister of Jal Shakti. Ministers of State Independent Charge. Preeti, you had asked. Rao Inderjeet Singh, MOS
Culture and
of
Tourism.
Statistics and Program Implementation. Of Planning and Ministry of Culture. So Jitendra Singh, MOS in charge of Science and Technology, Earth Sciences, PMO and the all-important Ministry of Personnel. That is also the detail. And now the formal communique has come. So very clearly...
That's an important thing there, that finally the Rashtrapati Bhavan has put out the official communication long after everybody else had already given out their own individual information. Arjun Ram Meghwal is going to be Minister of State Independent Charge in the Ministry of Law and Justice. So he continues in the Law and Justice Ministry, apart from Minister of State in the Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs. Now remember, that's why Kiran Rijiju gets that all-important portfolio of being Minister for Parliamentary Affairs. Jadhav Pratap Rao Ganpat Rao gets to be Minister of State Independent Charge of the Ministry of Ayush, and in the Minister of State in the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Jayant Chaudhary is Minister of State Independent Charge in the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, and Minister of State in the Ministry of Education. So that's the full list that we've got. Rajnath Singh coming in at number 1. Continuing to be Defence Minister, Amit Shah coming in at number 2, continuing to be Home Minister and Minister for Cooperation. Nitin Gadkari coming in at number 3, continuing as the Minister for Highways and Road Transport. And then Jagat Nadda becoming the new Minister for Health and Family Welfare, and also the Minister for Chemicals and Fertilizers. So JP Nadda is Minister for Chemicals and Fertilizers and Minister for Health and Family Welfare. And then Shivraj Singh Chauhan, Rural Development, Ministry of Agriculture and Welfare. So number 6 is the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, who's got Finance Ministry and again the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Then there's Jaishankar, who gets to stay on.
Rahul, this is interesting from a political point of view. Jitin Prasada is now Minister of State for Commerce and Industry. He also gets MOS in MIT, in Electronics and IT. Sripad Yeso Nayak, MOS Power and Renewable Energy. Pankaj Chaudhary, MOS in Finance, he was already there. Krishan Pal, Minister of State, under Mr. Shah in Ministry of Cooperation. Ramdas Athawale in Social Justice and Empowerment. These are just MOS. Please take note. Ramnath Thakur, MOS, Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. Nitin Rai, MOS in Home Affairs. Anupriya Patel, MOS in Health, Family Welfare and Chemicals and Fertilizers. V. Somanna, MOS in Jal Shakti and Railways. Chandrasekhar Pemmasani, MOS in Ministry of Rural Development and Communications. Professor S.P. Singh Baghel, Fisheries, Animal Husbandry, Dairying, Panchayati Raj. Shobha Karanje, she is in MSME and Labour and Employment. Kirtivardhan Singh, Environment, Forest, Climate Change, External Affairs. So Kirtivardhan Singh gets into External Affairs, MOS pretty high profile. B.L. Verma, Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution. Preeti.
Well, interesting. Rahul, if we are looking at it now in totality, what are the biggest takeaways that you see in all of this?
One, continuity. Two, making space for allies, ensuring that they have reasonably significant portfolios, giving significant portfolios also to former chief ministers, the likes of Shivraj Singh Chauhan, the likes of Manohar Lal Khattar, because they've been brought into the cabinet. Space has been created for them. So I think that's the broad message. And the Prime Minister is saying, Sab changa si. I think that's really the broad message he's trying to send.
Whoever thought there were, you're right there. Whoever thought there were going to be these massive changes that will take place because there's coalition pressure, that's not happening. What we are looking at is practically continuity from what was the last cabinet. There is going to be a reshuffle. But Rahul, to bring you back into this conversation, the big ticket, it's interesting because the likes of Chirag Paswan, do you reckon he'd be happy with food processing?
Sorry, can you just repeat that? One of my colleagues just asked me something in the newsroom and I didn't hear what you were saying.
Rahul, the likes, allies have been accommodated, but the likes of, say, a Chirag Paswan, would he be happy with maybe a food processing minister?
Given where he comes from, and when I spoke to Chirag Paswan at length after his victory, he says he wants to spend a lot of time in the state. Remember, there are elections in 2025 in Bihar, and he thinks that strength really comes from expanding his footprint in the state. As Nitish Kumar's long, illustrious political career comes towards the end, there is space for somebody to tap into and to become the next big thing in Bihar politics. You've got Tejasvi Yadav, who's currently leading the stakes. Chirag Paswan has established himself. There is quite a current in his rallies. You can see that very clearly when you travel with him, see the response that he gets. Some of the BJP leaders haven't been able to acquire the same profile. The BJP trying to build up Samrat Chaudhary at this moment, but in terms of mass connect, he doesn't have the same profile that Tejasvi Yadav does. Prashant Kishore doing his own number. He's now said on the 2nd of October, he'll turn Jan Swaraj into a political party and register it. So there are different people trying. So Chirag Paswan does want to spend a lot of his time on Bihar, and apart from that, his mother, who was there on the sidelines of the conversation, saying, "Iski shadi bhi karani hai, We've had a rough few years, and the mother very keen on getting. The moment she said that, any boy who's roughly in that age, blushing hugely, and Chirag wanting to disappear into thin air just at that moment. But the mom also has one other KRA on her list, which is to get her young son married.
Siddharth, to bring you in, what according to you, or who according to you have been the biggest gainers?
Ashwini Vaishnav, without doubt.
I agree, Ashwini Vaishnav. Without doubt, yes.
Look at the railways. The
I&B, railways.
Minus the road transport portfolio and your social welfare spending, the biggest critical growth-oriented ministry is the railways ministry. You take mighty for all the global reasons that I feel are significant, and you can probably discuss that for 1 hour, Preeti. And more importantly, information and broadcasting.
And this is at a time, Siddharth, when the JDU has been wanting the railway ministry and they've lobbied for it very openly.
And for the 10 years of I&B, it's been a point where there's been some amount of friction. There's been back and forth. There's been rethinking within government for policy making. And one thing is very clear. Mr. Ashwini Vaishnav manages to push in some of the most difficult things in a very, very soft and calibrated manner. We have seen him handle telecom without a whiff of any controversy. We have seen the massive expansion in the railways of the Vande Bharat program. Additional capacity is being created. Although there are people who say that the railways has become more expensive, but the railways is not going to go bankrupt anytime soon. I think one of the biggest contributions to the national economy and to Bharat by the 10 years of Modi government so far have been that the railways has not been bankrupted. And on that note, Preeti, all railway stocks have been rallying since day one. God forbid had it gone to some other party, I promise you they would have dropped like 9 pins.
Rahul, would you want to weigh in on that? Keeping railway ministers, one of the biggest gainers, as well as INB, he replaces Anurag Thakur. Do you see now a very different relationship where at least the media is concerned and the INB ministry?
The biggest gainer is journalism. Because you've got now free flow of information where ministers feel empowered to send messages themselves. I got a few when their names weren't playing on our screen saying I've got this ministry, I've got this ministry, usko bhi chala do. I don't think any time in the last 10 years this would have happened. So that's one big change and more power to everyone, I say, as far as free flow of information is concerned. And remember, that's really the big change. Earlier, they would have all been very scared of speaking. Yesterday in the morning from 8 a.m., the moment they got a call, they were doing interviews with our journalists wanting to speak. In several of these cases, the confirmations actually came much earlier from the ministers, their parties, rather than from one central source in the central cabinet. And therefore, that really is, frankly, the biggest change. And I don't know whether that will continue, because a few days later, the dust could settle and things could be back as normal, or this could be the new normal. That, I think, will really define how things go if everyone feels empowered. See, what happens is when somebody is sitting on 303 seats, everybody else just shuts up and keeps quiet. The moment the government is at 240, the others feel slightly more empowered than they would have been. It doesn't mean it's free for all. It's not like everybody just gets up and gets to say whatever they want, but they feel that they can breathe more easy, they can say what they want. And I think, frankly, that really is the biggest change. Apart from that, the fact that they've accommodated Shivraj Singh Chauhan and Manohar Lal Khattar and given them plum portfolios, I think that's really the one big change.
Accommodating allies, Rahul. You want to, talk about that a bit, because TDP has managed to get one of the most plum portfolios where civil aviation is concerned. You have JDS, who's done decently. But would you think JDU, where Lalan Singh getting just animal husbandry, would be happy because they were vying for the railway ministry, which Ashwini Vaishnav has kept?
But remember, the Prime Minister's just had a little bit of his stock hit, right? He's not completely wobbly at this moment. He understands the importance of the railway ministry, understands the importance of what Minister Ashwini Vaishnav has been trying to do. You've got bullet train corridors that are being built. In the budget, they announced they want to expand it to other parts of the country. They're trying to ensure that the track upgradation is given great emphasis. So this really is at the core of what the Prime Minister is trying to get done. So wherever he thinks he really has a very important reform agenda, he's trying to keep that with people he trusts, who he thinks can go out and get the job done. So it accommodates allies to the extent that is required, but doesn't become unwieldy, Preeti.
All right, accommodate allies, continuity over change. That has been picked where Prime Minister Modi is concerned. But Siddharth, I want to bring you in. Last few questions. We talked about the biggest gainers. Now I'm going to put you on the mat who have been the biggest losers.
I don't think that is the impression that one gathers from here. I just want to tell you one more quick thing. The Communications and IT Ministry, remember UPA days? 2G scam.
Siddharth been obsessing about the IT ministry.
The fact that they have split it now.
Right.
The fact that they have split it now, and Mr. Scindia is not a newcomer here, there's one more interesting point. Along with communications, he has been given the Northeast the donor ministry, so-called. One of the biggest programs of the communication ministry for years has been a Northeastern telecom network expansion. It's gone in circles. So this is one of the key things that I pick up. One of the other messages I would say is Jal Shakti being given to a political heavyweight, Preeti, C.R. Patil. So I think a new impetus being...
Jal Shakti is one of the Prime Minister's pet projects, Har Ghar Nal.
And I'll go out on a limb as far as the TDP, and I hope no TDP contacts of mine get upset. The Civil Aviation Ministry is not the Civil Aviation Ministry that it used to be while Air India was there. The Civil Aviation Ministry's work is actually far more important is DGCA. Remember that thing that's going viral, 2 planes on the same runway? That's DGCA. And the role of the Civil Aviation Ministry in controlling airfares is also not there. So I guess the TDP has got what looks like high profile, but is really not that.
All right. L. Murugan also, MOS, INB, Parliamentary Affairs. We're going to We're going to keep the spotlight on Prime Minister Modi's spanking new cabinet. What we can tell you, the top four remain the same. A continuity over change that has been picked, and few changes that have been made.